Now, you know what? I'm starting to get a little bit tired of, well, manually farming crops and also trees. And wouldn't you know it, Create is actually really good at solving those two problems. But it does mean a little bit of prep work is going to be required in order to do that. Now, I also have some other major plans, well, for the end of today's episode as well. And those major plans are going to consist of, well, decorating the base a little bit more to make it fit in. That means doing some terraforming. Oh, what is this? Nether's the worst. Hope this helps. Thorlash. Okay. Oh, we also got some nice treats here, allowing us to bone mill and, well, farm up a couple of these logs. But you know what? Probably wouldn't be too bad for getting some building stuff going. But that leads me into another problem. Well, we're going to have to make a lot of casings, and I don't have automation for all of this stuff up just yet, but we can simplify our lives just a little bit by, for example, placing a mechanical saw in here, and I can just add my logs in, for example, like this, or I could, in reality, also just drop the logs directly on top of this thing. Yeah, this also works. So if I just toss, you can see all of that is going to get processed up and we're good to go. Now, something else I did figure out, apparently shulker boxes are actually kind of useful because we can right click them as if they're a backpack and it places it on top of our head and allows me to access it. When I close it out, it just puts it right back in my inventory. So yeah, I don't have to place them down all the time. Kind of convenient, honestly. So now that I have a few logs here, I don't have to manually do this anymore. I can now just also take my press and get rid of that and replace it with a deployer temporarily. And this will give me a nice automatic clicker that's going to allow me to, well, make andesite casings. I just need to give it some andesite and then place a whole stack of logs in here. And wouldn't you know it, I am now automatically generating some casing. And you know what? I'm going to need all of this casing because one thing that these farms require a lot of is saws, deployers, basically everything that use these cases. And on top of that, I also need to start planning where these farms are going to go because not all of them are tiny, right? Tree farms, for example, take up quite a bit of space depending on, well, the type of farm and how many saplings you want planted at one time. And well, crop farms, of course, are going to take up all of the space required for that crop individually. So yeah, potentially like 9x9 areas for each of those types of crop farms. So I think this gives me an excuse for a little bit of a terraforming time lapse. Feels so much better with all of that land nice and cleared out, and now I have space for some stuff. So speaking of space for stuff, let's first start with the tree farm. Now, tree farms can get kind of complicated even though they use very simplistic mechanics. It's mainly their growth that is required. Like, you need a lot of space for certain things. Some things require space, some things don't. And if you want to get it all put into one farm, Well, you're going to have to use a very interesting mechanic that may be completely glossed over when you're playing around with the Create mod. And that is that schematics can actually be used inside of deployers. And so if you want to farm just like this, all you have to do is set your layout just like you see here. And you can place in these schematics in all of your deployers, and it will make sure that it will only allow these particular saplings in these particular locations, so long as you define the center point that I'm standing in. Now to do this, we need a schematic and quill, and I just need to define a location. So I'll go right here to this corner, and then I'll go right here to this corner. Now, all I have to do is hold down Control and scroll wheel, and I can pull this into position here. And I've just got to expand this out just so it encompasses all of the individual sapling types that you see currently. Now, I am noticing I did go ahead and misplace this. So I'm going to actually move this one, making sure to bring it back. And yes, the schematic will hold its shape. You can see right there. And voila. So this whole area is now covered. And all I have to do is just simply right click and name it saplings. And this right here is now a schematic that is saved in my schematic folder. But we do have to encode all of the schematics for all of the deployers. And in my case, I'm going to have 8 of them. That means I need to use a schematic table. So let's go ahead and place this in and get to using this, right? So I have a sapling. We go ahead and we just simply encode that. And then on this, we just want to position this in the center right here. And we want to make sure that it is perfectly lined up. And it should be if we just simply right click the center. With it defined, this one is now ready to go. So I'm going to place this shulker box down over here, and I'm just simply going to place my already defined ones in there because we're going to need to place these inside of our deployers once we get those up and running. Now to actually configure the contraption part. So right here, I have myself a water wheel, which is going to be the heart of the contraption. So it's going to power this whole thing. And I want it rotating clockwise. Typically I like my stuff to rotate clockwise. So we can just place some water just like this and then carry a shaft all the way up. And I think I want this shaft to go right about center here. Yeah, right here in the center point. And then to get all of this rotation power spinning, let's go ahead and place down the mechanical bearing. So this is where I'm going to attach everything to, and this is actually what does the whole block rotatey thing. So just by placing a block on there, right clicking, I can then see all of that rotation. And we're going to use that rotation to power our saws and our deployers down here. Now I want this to look pretty clean up top here. So connected to this bearing, I am going to have my saws that are going to be placed in just like this. We should have 8 of them exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which should cover the entirety of this entire area. And then on the bottom, I kind of want to hide the deployers. This is what's going to make this look very, very neat. But it does look like I am going to have to rotate them because I want them pointing up through the dirt. So they'll basically place the sapling directly above, and they need to be rotated like this so I can access the little filter slot right here. So I think placing them like so is going to make this, yeah, probably the easiest way to do this. And to give it some storage, I'm just going to use some barrels that are going to be wrapped around like so. And this not only is going to be a part of the full contraption, but it allows me to connect these sections without actually bringing the dirt along. And then to finish off the sides, I'm going to place in some slabs here, and these are actually not going to be connected to the contraption. Now, the components that are going to give me the connection points are going to be the trapdoors that I have down at the bottom. So there will be a part that will actually be spinning, and up top, these barrels will be spinning, but these spruce slabs should not. And then up top, to connect the entire thing to the top of the bearing, I am just simply going to place some trapdoors, and that should give this a nice, very, very clean look. And the main glue line is going to run like this, and then we just simply need to connect these all together, just like so. This middle piece here too is going to have to be connected down into the bottom. So to connect all of this through and through, and then this just runs on its own. So nothing is technically connected to anything crazy. I will open up these trapdoors here because we are going to have to connect these barrels to the trapdoors. But yes, this will run here. This will run here. And then this will run like that. And then we can technically connect it in if we want. But the main thing is getting the barrel right here actually connected. So now that barrel gets connected and everything should connect up if all is well. And then we can close the trapdoors back up and we're basically ready to go. Now I am going to need some way to technically connect to this. Now opposite on the other side, we're going to have another portable storage interface. But where I'm going to connect this is actually just right on the top like this. And it looks kind of funny, yeah, but it needs to technically be connected on the other side, just like so, with basically a gap between. And these two will quote unquote kiss each other to form the connection. And this is going to allow me to interact with this thing's inventory, and we might have to do it for multiple sides to do sapling management. But the primary thing is to just get everything but the saplings out, because I'm not sure with my solution that I have if the saplings are going to automatically go in the deployer. I'm pretty sure with this method, they do not automatically store themselves in the deployer, but we'll have to see. Now, speaking of deployers, I think I kind of overthought this. Yeah, I could have gotten away with just one schematic, I think, but instead I made a bunch. But you know what? I will save these schematics for later, and we can actually just clear the schematics. It's not an actual huge deal. But there we go. Now all of the schematics are placed inside the filter slot. So with this all formed, this is actually a pretty huge project. We just need to place the saplings in that are going to be running in this machine, and then hope that we connected everything correctly and turn it on. And look at it placing the saplings exactly where I want those to be placed. It is honestly kind of interesting watching this thing place them in the exact location like that. And the cool thing is, as soon as we have a tree that grows, all of the contents of the tree will be stored inside of this contraption. And then of course we can dump out the contents, which we're going to have to worry about in a little bit. But while this is actively running, if we don't die to it, oh no, if we actually jump onto the contraption, if we can get up here, we can access the barrels while it's moving. So like you can still interact with the contents. Probably be easier to do from underneath, but you can see there are some saplings residing in there. But yes, we definitely want to manage this externally. Oh, and by the way, our first tree is actively being harvested right now. Here it goes. And bam, the entire tree gone just like that. And when it comes back around, it is going to place these saplings back in just like so. Beautiful. So now, honestly, the hardest part about setting up a contraption is just managing the inventory of the contraption. And I think one of the best ways just to guarantee is just have a smart chute like pulling out of this storage. Now I do want to filter this particular thing just to mainly keep saplings in there for now. I know they'll eventually build up, but saplings we can always manage later, and we can also regulate how many we put back into the system, because I'm not sure if the actual deployers are going to store said saplings when we have schematics placed in. I don't think they do. So to be able to blacklist saplings, it's quite easy. We just drag a sapling here and we go ahead and say is tagged sapling, make sure it's a deny list, and then we just want to add that attribute to the filter and then hit plus, and now we have a attribute filter that is going to void those things. And so let's put that in quickly, because as of right now, there's 24 logs already in here. Now I have this pulling out, but I do want to send it along a belt, and I could technically have the belt up here and place it right on, I think, and then just use the funnel, but you can funnel too directly off of smart chutes. So you can have like a double filter. Like later on, we can place another filter over here. So this one will be like no saplings, but this one will be only saplings, right? And so we could separate them and then configure them to go back around. So there's a lot of functionality here, and I love showing like new ways of doing things, but the main goal is to just simply have ourselves some storages here that these can go into, and then any excess just gets thrown out. And then on the front here, we'll just simply add our funnels. There we go. So the funnels are placed in. Everything is looking good, but now we got to get the belt spinning. So I have one gear ratio up and then a water wheel. That should be more than fine. We just got to make sure this is rotating the correct direction. And beautiful. So now this is slowly but surely pulling all the contents out, including sticks and apples and all kinds of other fun stuff. And it's going to continue pulling out until it is all empty. And like I said, the remaining things in here should be our saplings, Like I said, though, those are going to not build up as fast, but is going to be something we're going to need to manage down the road. So now we need to start working on some crop farms. And so right here, I just need to place down another water wheel setup just like we had. This time though, I'm going to place a shaft right here, and the shaft needs to be waterlogged so that way we can have our crop right in the center. That's going to make it so we don't have to have like specks of water all over the place, and should make this really, really efficient. So yeah, the water is going to go right there, and then directly on top, a mechanical bearing. Now this farm is going to be a little bit different as it's going to be utilizing harvesters. Now harvesters are a little bit weird. You can't place them on the top or the bottom of a block. You have to place them on the side of a block, and you can't just like place them out willy-nilly without there being a block to place them on. So right here is going to be a simple little 9x9 crop where you have 4 of these. If you place another one out here though, it can technically reach all the way out to the edge, which we might end up doing. However, I'd have to add extra water blocks. For right now, I'm just going to set this up, and I'm going to show you a neat way that you can actually till the land yourself. But for right now, let's go ahead and clear out the back, because we really don't have to have anything protruding out the back like that. But instead, what I'll do is I'm going to place some trapdoors just like this along the back, and then one directly on the top like so. And then we need to go ahead and give it some sort of storage. So I'm actually going to use just a 3x3 item vault, and I think a regular item vault is probably more than enough for this. And that item vault is going to extend right over the top just like this. Perfect. So on the back, all we have to do now is add a portable interface for the storage. And now we have a place to connect. And I think I'm going to do the connections over here. So if I let this rotate a little bit after gluing, we should be good. So let's go ahead and glue this together. And then we will glue this together. And then glue that to this. And then make sure we glue this to the back trapdoors. Do we need the back trapdoors? Probably not, but it does make it look a little bit nicer as it has like some sort of connection there. If we rotate this, we can then stop it right here. And I have no idea what did I pick up? I somehow picked up the dirt with it. Oh yeah, one of my connections absolutely got broken. Okay. There we go. And now it's not connected to the ground. Now I think to handle the items on this one, just using a 2x2 vault will be more than fine. And for right now, we can't access them, but we can use a stock ticker to be able to actually, you know, figure that out, right? And we can have another one over here for now. And then later on, what we could do is just have it all linked to one central storage, right? Just a farming storage. What's going to be hard though is just figuring out like overflow protection. Like that's the thing that is going to be really complicated, I think, as we start to make more things. But yeah, no filtering needed here. We just simply want to place a chute and send it right into the item vault. And then let's go ahead and I guess kick this thing on. Now what's going to make this whole thing fun is writing the contraption and using your mom to be able to get this farm up and running. So if we go ahead and tick this on, this is going to spin, right? And what we can do to measure this farm out perfectly is just stand on the edge in front and just hold down, right click. And this should farm out the perfect shape that our harvesters can run off of. And there we go. So now we have the perfect shape, and we shouldn't have to worry about anything and or what area it can actually farm. This is the area. I want this farm to sort of be multi-purpose, right? So I'm going to go ahead and place in some beetroot. I have wheat on the outside, and I'm just going to fill it in like this, one row at a time, but from the inside. Then I'll fill it in with carrots. Carrots are pretty good, right? So we can do carrots. And probably carrots right here. And then potatoes being like one of the things I don't need that much. And then I'll put the potatoes right here, I guess. So technically this farm is farming a lot of different crops. And over time, this is going to definitely build up. And we're going to look at this and go, oh, we have way too much wheat. Now for this one, it's going to be very similar. However, I'm going to be working on essentially farming kelp automatically and also farming sugarcane. Two really, really powerful things to have an auto farm for. And they kind of work hand in hand, considering this is already, the kelp is going to need water. But it's, yeah, we basically need to harvest the top block here. And then up top, we need to harvest our sugarcane, which will flow through the top. And I think this should be able to harvest just about everything. It's going to be a bit of a smaller farm. where we farm over here the sugarcane, which will be connected to the water, and then all of the kelp should be able to be farmed by this one right down in the bottom. And so similarly to everything else, we just need to glue all of our components together just like this. Perfect. And then make sure they are glued to each other, which can be kind of difficult. This glued into here, and then make sure that is glued into the back here. Perfect. This one we can actually go ahead and kick on and just make sure that everything is spinning, correctly. Yeah, and it looks like it is going to harvest everything perfectly. And this one I'm going to do an item vault thing as well. That way we can store all of our stuff out this direction. And let's go ahead and add our kissy block. There we go. Facing right into that. And everything is fine. We just got to plant our kelp and plant the sugarcane. This is so nice. And so for right now, to give me access to these storages, I'll just use a packager. And I think we can do the packager right here. That is going to be more than fine. And then on the packager, we put the stock link. That way it's linked up. And then we link the stock ticker to it. There we go. We got that right clicked. And yeah, we could place that, for example, right here. And then, we just need to place our blaze burner next to it. And this is good to go. So now we have access to the contents of this storage, which as of right now has only farmed up kelp. But yeah, I can request a little bit of kelp and it'll just throw a package right here that I can then just take out and shift right click, right click, shift right click. I still haven't figured this one out yet. Right click, shift right click. There we go. So now with those things in place, I think it's time for me to, make a little bit of a path. And so I'm just going to run this down, and I've got to place some blocks below because I do want to place in gravel in this. But as of right now, this is going to be a nice, cute little area. Now with all of my little paths sort of set up and ready to go, I just need to place the blocks in. Now, I am using a really, really cool mod that I have added to this pack technically that is called the Shuffle mod. And it allows me to essentially shuffle the ingredients that are in my hotbar. So when I right click, it automatically just randomizes to the next block. And it makes things like this, making paths, for example, incredibly easy to do. But not only this, for example, the walls and stuff like this, if you want sort of a randomized texture, it allows you to at least get a foundation and then you can always work from there. But I think this is going to be a really, really decent looking sort of path. That is just a cobble of a bunch of different materials, some that are a little bit more contrasty than others. But yes, that's sort of the whole idea, is to simply make this look a little bit messy, like there's a lot of puddles and things like that along this path. And then of course, I've got to add a few bushes here and there, just as some nice decoration to kind of break some of this plain texture up. And then also probably get some bone meal in here as well. So now with a little bit of dusting here with some vegetation, that's definitely going to slap some life back into this area. Man, it is just honestly ridiculous how much just a little bit of bone meal can bring this whole area to life. Like, I feel like that was what was missing a little bit around the waterfall. I mean, because this is making it feel a little bit more alive. Which, I mean, this definitely needs to be down here too. I mean, and the whole area, if we just simply take a look at what it looks like now with just a little bit of grass around it. Oh man, this is already coming together significantly more by just simply adding a little bit of grass. Now, you know what? Even though I didn't get a lot of interior design stuff done, I really do feel like, well, now we have some basic infrastructure. We also have logs. So now I don't have to worry about farming logs and going out and doing it manually anymore. And also I don't have to worry about deforesting the area. Instead, we have this thing constantly running, which means we have tons and tons of resources now. So we still have to do quarrying. We still have to use our cart contraption to basically mine up resources. But I mean, that really doesn't take all that long. And I tell you what, this whole area is really starting to come together. So I feel like this has been an incredibly productive episode, and I hope you guys learned something from this. And if you did, of course, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up, because I can't do this, guys, without you. And of course, that means it's time to give a huge shout out to the supporter of today's episode. But real quick, I just wanted to go out here and just give this a nice, good look over from a distance. And I tell you what, this place is really starting to come together now that I've started to terraform the area. So, you know what? They always say, right? Trust the process. Yeah, we're trusting the process here. It's slowly coming together. And to be fair, this is actually the starter base workshop area. Yeah. Now, of course, I do want to give a huge shout out to the supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Tyler. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, and choosing to become a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible, and absolutely going above and beyond, getting access to the supporter servers, world downloads, and all other fun perks over on the Discord. So definitely check out the Discord, link down in the description below. And well, guys, it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.